I think the leaders of a society reflect the consciousness of the people. So if we want to be bullshitted and we believe it's okay to be a hypocrite, we believe it's okay to say personal integrity doesn't meet public integrity. That's what Kennedy said to Megyn Kelly. I don't know if you saw this interview. She starts interviewing him. She goes, oh, I just want to ask you some personal questions. Herschel Walker said he was against abortion and then he had 3 abortions. And your uncle, he had his dalliances. And then your other uncle killed a woman. And then he's squirming in his chair. She didn't ask him any hard questions, but he tried to preempt it. And he said, personal integrity and public integrity are 2 different things. He's telling you right to your face. I may fuck up a lot of people personally, but just believe my facade. So these people are telling people to their face. If you select leaders like that, that means you yourself are at a lower consciousness. And I think the goal of real leadership is to raise people's consciousness. So what we have is leaders who justify lower states of consciousness. And so that's why we get these leaders, because I think collectively there's a collective consciousness. I think Trump and all these people get elected because people are at a vibration rate of believing that's okay. Oh, I can have 52 affairs and then I can go home and be a Christian or whatever the fuck they want to be. And I think that's why I think, Owen, the opportunity is to raise people's standards. And
that's why I've recommended people vote for you, because although the odds of you winning is very low because of the way media works and all that.
Even if we win, they won't let us win.
At least you're making a statement that you have standards. Because I'm never voting, but like I would write you in and vote for you because you meet my standards. Because I don't believe in a better or lesser of 2 evils. Because it means that, like, I vote for my local sheriff because I know him and he's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll put my like, I'm not against voting, but I could never vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Booby Kennedy. And people go, yeah, but we got to win. No, it's your struggle. Like, we all die and go somewhere else. And when we do, it's like our life is the story. Like, that's the win. Like, the win is, do you sign off on something? Like, did you speak out? Did you verbally consent to the rape? And that's all you can't stop the rain from falling or the central bank from printing, but you can either say you're for it or not for it. And that's an important thing, whether or not you win or not.
Well, that is the win. So what we're trying to teach people, Owen, is this very interesting concept. We're getting people to start flipping, because the concept is, oh, why are you running as an independent? You're never going to win. They go through that. And I said, look, the reason we're running is to raise the standards. So you actually have a real choice. Let me show you this flyer, Owen. See this flyer? This is old school. When I was at MIT, we would create these. It's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And you see what it says? The lesser of 2 evils is killing your children. Yeah. We've gotten the message down to that one little graph. That red line is the US life expectancy since 1980. I don't know if you can see that. The gray line. So I will go out tomorrow at 4 p.m. and I'll go down to the train station and I'll hand out like 1,000 of these. The future is offline because they're tracking everything we're doing. They shadow ban us. But when I was at MIT, we'd make a flyer like this and we destroyed the student newspaper. So this is much more powerful than any social media anymore, or putting one of these on the back of a car, because a lot of people are lazy, but you take a piece of paper and you put it on, it's my car, you're advertising 100,000 views. So the future is really offline.
I'm actually looking to put up I'm looking for listeners with land next to highways to put up billboards.
Billboards, flyers. The reason a flyer is important is you as an individual have to go out and you have to look at someone, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to hand it out. Out of the 20 people that pass by, 1 will take it. And that's typically, it's about a 5% take rate. But the issue is you have to connect, you're putting yourself out there. And then you'll have these conversations with people. People say, thank you very much. And that is what we've got to stop doing, because what's happened is the current media has become far more consolidated in power than ever before. You don't have any power, but you go hand out a flyer, you put out a sticker, you have far more power than you can imagine. And that's where things have got to move. So our goal is running for president, gives people saying, wait a minute, this guy is completely different than this guy. And why don't I raise my standards? And what is my life's journey ultimately about? The other thing is, what can you do by yourself and what can you do bottoms up? Because we know all of these systems are completely corrupt. At one of our other open houses, this Hindu priest shows up. You know, with Swami, he says that in the Indian tradition, the earth goes through these different stages, okay, in the Hindu mythology, or they actually consider it not just mythology. So the earth goes through what's called the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwarpa Yuga, and then Kali Yuga. A yuga is an age, and each age is 1,200 years. So
Kali is the destroyer, right?
The Satya means the age of truth was an age when 100% of human beings were good human beings. Like you could trust your neighbor, honorable people. Then when it went down to what's called the Treta Yuga, which you could call from the golden age to the silver age, 75% of people were good, 25% of people were devils. Then it went to the Dwarpa Yuga, it became 50-50. And then when it became the Kali Yuga, which is what we're living in now, you're lucky if 1 out of 4 people are good human beings. 75% of the world is filled by devils. And then there's a 100-year cycle where, so it's actually a sinusoid. It goes from the golden age to the silver age to the bronze age to the Kali Yuga, and then it goes back to the silver age. It goes the other way. And apparently this guy was saying we're right in the middle of that. And he goes, the next 5 years, you can take this predictions for what they are, will be one of the most toughest times for all of humanity. He says that's where we are right now in that period of human history. And it's also said during the Kali Yuga, there'll be great darkness, but it'll also be a great chance for enlightenment. But the number he came up with was 25%. I put it at 20%. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter whether 80% want to follow the Kennedys and all these people. But the 20% is where it's about, because once you get the 20%, like that doctor being self-reflective, he's going to pull over another 50% of people. And that's, from a strategic standpoint, that's what's important to understand. We're at this very, very important point on what are our standards. When Booby fucking Kennedy says personal integrity and public integrity are 2 different things, to me, that's Satan right there. Because it's saying that you can live 2 worlds. And I think when we raise our standards saying, no, that you can't have this 2 different worlds. And I think that's a consciousness that I'm committed to bringing about. Oh, and if we can do that, because when you look at this graph, man, that graph, it's been going on since 1980. This means you need a systems overhaul. This is like you have to come to terms like there's no fucking voting for the lesser of 2 evils. Acknowledging the lesser of 2 evils, saying that you believe it's okay to live with Satan in some ways, live with the devil. But when you see that graph that your child is going to live shorter lifespan than you, like you have to really come to terms with reality. Like that one key performance indicator is not just the vaccines. It goes back the last 70 years of systemic policies that have been done over and over and over again. So that's where we're at. You know, a friend of mine, I'm going to do an interview, a very interesting guy, medical doctor, MD, PhD. He's a neurologist. He's working at one of the Harvard hospitals, and he discovers that all the MRIs are fake. They're issuing fake MRIs. He gets the report and he sees the notes are the same on 20 reports. It's like someone just made $1,500 and issued them. So this guy starts exploring them and finds out many of them are fake. Anyway, and this is at one of the Harvard teaching hospitals. He gets fired. He gets his medical license thrown out. He then learns the law and starts fighting. He loses in the state lower courts. He wins in the appeal court case. It's been going on for 10 years. He wins in the appeal court. They appeal it to the Supreme Court and he loses there, but on just some technicality. And the Supreme Court justices, because they didn't want people following his case, changed the name of the case. This just happened yesterday. So you can see the medical, and he's got all the documents. We're going to expose it this week. The medical cartel tells the courts what to do. Supreme Court justices at the state level. And that's what leads to this graph. This is a fucking corruption we live with because we're supporting guys like Vivek, who fucking buys a drug for $5 million and then flips it and fucking makes money. So it's like we really have to understand that we are the ones who are causing our own suffering. Why are we fucking choosing people like this? It's like you must hate yourself. You must think that you are lesser, that you are a slave. And I think that's where it's at, man. We got to raise people to have value for themselves, and everything just fucking will happen after that. The Kali Yuga is a period where there will be great darkness, but there will be immense opportunities for people to raise and become truly enlightened souls. This is actually a pretty amazing time to live.
I love it, brother.
All right, man. Thanks, Owen.
Great chat.
All right, everyone. That was my update with Owen. Everyone go to shivaforpresident.com, get a bumper sticker, put it on the back of your windshield. 100,000 people see it. Go to shivaforpresident.com, download this flyer, start connecting with your friends and family, and obviously become a truthfreedomhealth.com warrior.